Alex sat on the edge of his bed staring at the empty desk across the room. Just a few weeks ago, that desk had been full of life, covered with books, strange glowing trinkets, and the constant hum of quiet laughter from Lyra, his alien roommate. But now it was silent. She had gone home, back to her world among the stars, and the apartment felt bigger, colder, and unbearably lonely. He didn't expect to miss her this much. At first, living with an alien had been awkward. He had been shy, unsure of how to act around someone so different. But slowly, they had built a strange friendship. She asked him endless questions about human food, music, and art. In return, she shared stories about her people's traditions, their colorful skies, and their way of seeing life as something to celebrate every day. Now she was gone. Alex ran his fingers through his hair and sighed. He tried to focus on his studies, tried to meet up with friends, but nothing felt the same. The truth was simple. He missed her. Not just her curiosity or her laughter, but the way she made him feel seen. Like humanity wasn't small or ordinary after all. But how could he reconnect with her? She was light years away. He had her contact code, the interstellar communication line she gave him before leaving. He stared at it often, typed it into his device, and then erased it before pressing send. What would he even say? "Hi, I miss you." Would she laugh? Would she even remember him now that she was back with her own people? The silence in the room pressed heavier on him. Alex stood up and walked over to the window. Outside, the city lights glowed against the night sky, bright but tiny compared to the stars above. Somewhere up there, far beyond what his eyes could see, Lyra was looking at her own sky. He wondered if she ever thought about Earth. He wondered if she thought about him. Humanity had always been told it was small in the universe, fragile, unimportant. But Lyra had shown him something different. She had laughed when she first saw him embarrassed. She had listened when he felt invisible, and she had told him once that humans were stronger than they realized. Her words came back to him now. "Your people are like fire. Small sparks, yes, but able to light the dark in ways we cannot." Alex clenched his fists gently. He didn't want to just sit here and feel sorry for himself. If humanity was born to shine, maybe this was his chance to prove it. Maybe reaching out, showing that humans don't give up on connections, was the most human thing he could do. Still, his heart raced at the thought. Fear held him back. What if she didn't answer? What if she had moved on? What if she thought humans were too needy? He sat back down, opened his device, and once again stared at her code. His fingers hovered. The memories of their last day together replayed in his mind. She had hugged him, awkward at first since her people didn't normally touch, but warm all the same. She had said, "Don't forget that your story matters, Alex. All humans have stories worth telling." And then she was gone. Alex took a deep breath. He didn't need to write something perfect. He didn't need to impress her. He just needed to be honest. He typed, "Hi, Lyra. The apartment feels empty without you here. I hope your journey home was safe. I just wanted to say that I miss talking to you." He read it over, simple and plain. His chest tightened. His thumb hovered over the send button. Then, with a shaky breath, he pressed it. For a long while, nothing happened. He set the device aside and tried to distract himself with homework, but his eyes kept glancing back. Maybe the signal would take hours, maybe days, maybe never. Then it blinked, a message. His heart leapt. With trembling hands, he opened it. "Alex, I am so happy to hear from you. I was worried humans forget quickly, but I see I was wrong. My sky is bright tonight, and now it feels brighter knowing you are still my friend. Tell me, what human story are you living today?" Alex laughed softly, relief flooding through him. She remembered. She cared. For the first time in weeks, the emptiness in the room felt a little less heavy. He looked up at the stars again and smiled. Somewhere out there, his alien roommate was delighted, not just by who humans were, but by the fact that even across galaxies they could still connect. And maybe that was the heart of humanity itself. To reach out, to hope, to never stop shining, even in the dark. Alex leaned back in his chair, typed his reply, and felt a spark of warmth spread through him. Alex sat at his desk, staring at the blinking screen of his device. The last message from Lyra was still there, glowing softly in the dark. Tell me, what human story are you living today? He had read those words 100 times since she sent them. Each time his chest tightened, not with pain but with something new, something like courage. Still, he didn't know what to say. What human story could possibly matter to someone living under alien skies? His life felt small again. School, classes, cooking dinner for one. Walking home under streetlights that suddenly seemed dim without her questions and laughter beside him. He wanted to answer her, but fear held him back. What if his story wasn't enough? Days passed. Every night, he opened her message, stared at it, and then closed the screen without replying. He told himself he was busy. He told himself she was probably busy too. But deep inside, he knew it was doubt. Until one night, while sitting by the window with a notebook, he remembered something she once said. Humans think their lives are small, but every step, every choice, is a story. You don't need to travel the stars to live something worth sharing. Alex tapped his pen, thinking. Maybe he didn't need to tell her something grand. Maybe he just needed to tell her the truth. He opened the device again, his hands shaking. Hi, Lyra. Today my story was simple. I walked through the park after class. The leaves are starting to fall now and the air smells like rain. I remembered how you said earth trees looked like fire when their colors changed. I think you would have loved it today. He hit send before he could overthink it, and then he waited. The reply came faster than he expected. His screen blinked. Alex, I can almost see it. Fire trees, what a beautiful picture. My world does not have seasons. The skies shift colors, but the ground always stays the same. Will you tell me more of these changing days? Alex smiled. For the first time since she left, he didn't feel so far away from her. That night he wrote again. He told her about the rain, how it pattered against his window like a song. He told her about the small coffee shop near campus, where the smell of cinnamon filled the air. He even told her about a stray cat he saw darting across the street, brave and fast. Every time he shared, she replied with wonder. To her, these were not small things. They were miracles. Weeks turned into a rhythm. Every night, Alex sent her a piece of his world. Every morning when the messages reached her side of the galaxy, she replied with pieces of hers. She told him about the glow of twin moons, about creatures that swam through the air as easily as fish in water, about festivals where her people painted the night sky with light. Their stories collided like two rivers meeting, different but flowing together. And yet the distance still hurt. Sometimes Alex would pause in the middle of writing, his heart aching. He wanted to hear her laugh, not just read her words. He wanted to see her eyes glow when she talked about something she loved. He wanted her here, but that was impossible. One evening he sat by the window again watching the stars. He felt that old doubt creeping back. Maybe this wasn't enough. Maybe words across space could never replace the closeness they once had. He almost closed the device without sending anything, but then he thought of her question again. What human story are you living today? And this time, he decided to be honest about his sadness. Lyra, today my story was hard. I felt lonely. I saw the desk where you used to sit and I wished you were still here. I don't know how to carry this distance. Sometimes it feels like too much. He pressed send, his chest heavy. Hours passed. He fell asleep at the desk. When he woke, her reply was waiting. Alex, thank you for telling me the truth. Distance is hard for me too. I sit under the twin moons and I remember how you laughed when I called human food mystery soup. My people say sadness means you care deeply, and humans, you care with a fire that never dies. Do not think distance makes it less. It only proves how strong it is. Alex's eyes stung as he read it. Somehow across light years, she had given him hope again. The days after that were brighter. He still missed her, but now he understood something. Connection wasn't only about being in the same place. It was about choosing to share, choosing to care, even when it was hard. That was humanity's gift, reaching out in the dark, refusing to let silence win. One night, after sending another story about the city lights reflecting on wet streets, Alex leaned back and whispered to himself, "Maybe this is what it means to be human, to keep reaching even when it hurts, to turn distance into hope." He smiled, looking up at the stars, knowing she might be doing the same. And in that quiet moment, he felt something powerful. Humanity was never meant to fade into the background. Humanity was born to shine. Alex had started to feel a rhythm again. Every day, he lived his small routines, walking to class, cooking dinner, reading at his desk. And every night he wrote to Lyra. Their messages were like a thread between worlds. He would send her stories about the rain, about busy streets, about the way humans celebrated birthdays with cake and candles. She would reply with stories about glowing lakes, songs sung in colors, and sky creatures that danced during storms. It was comforting. Yet the distance remained. No matter how many stories they shared, Alex still missed the sound of her laughter, the way her eyes shimmered when she found something fascinating. He told himself that writing was enough, but deep inside he knew he wanted more. He wanted her here. One evening, after a long day, Alex sat by his window again. The city glowed below, but his eyes stayed fixed on the stars. He thought about Lyra, about how far away she was. He thought about the last time they stood in the same room. That memory brought both warmth and ache. And then he remembered that accident. It had been weeks before she left Earth, back when they still lived together. Alex had just returned from a shower, the steam still clinging to his skin. He had forgotten to lock the bathroom door. Lyra, curious and unaware of human customs, walked in without hesitation. The moment froze. Alex had panicked, grabbing a towel and stammering in embarrassment. But Lyra, she had simply tilted her head, her bright eyes wide with delight. "Why do you hide?" she had asked, genuinely puzzled. Alex had mumbled something about privacy and decency. She had only laughed, not in mockery, but with joy. Humans are so strange. You cover what is natural, but it is wonderful too. Every scar, every line, it tells a story. He remembered the way she smiled that day, not with judgment, but with admiration. For her people, bodies were not things to hide. They were marks of life. To Lyra, his embarrassment was unnecessary. To her, he was simply human. And that was enough. At the time, Alex had been too flustered to appreciate her words. But now, sitting alone under the night sky, he realized something. Lyra had seen him at his most vulnerable, and instead of turning away, she had been delighted. Not delighted in the accident itself, but delighted in him. The memory made him laugh softly, though his chest tightened with longing. He picked up his device, fingers hovering over the keys. Should he bring it up? Should he remind her of that embarrassing moment? He hesitated. But then he thought, if humanity was about connection, about honesty, maybe this was worth sharing. He began to type to Lyra, "Do you remember the day you walked into the bathroom by mistake? At the time I was embarrassed, but now I think about what you said, that every scar, every line tells a story. I never told you, but that moment stayed with me. You made me realize that being human isn't something to hide. It's something to be proud of." He stopped, rereading his words. His heart raced. Then, with a deep breath, he pressed send. The reply came hours later, while he sat half asleep at his desk. The screen blinked, and his pulse jumped. "Alex, of course I remember. I did not mean to break your rule, but I am glad it happened. You looked so alive that day, like the stories you carry were painted on you. I was delighted because I saw you as you are, human. And humans are beautiful because they do not hide their struggles. They grow through them." Alex stared at the words, his eyes burning. She remembered. She understood. In that moment, the distance between them felt smaller. The next days were different. He still missed her, still felt the ache of her absence, but something had shifted. The accident, once a memory of embarrassment, had become a reminder of their bond. She hadn't laughed at him, she had celebrated him. That was something uniquely human too, to take mistakes, to take accidents, and turn them into something meaningful. Alex began to write with more courage. He told her about his scars, small, ones on his hands from cooking, one on his knee from falling as a child. He told her about the stories behind them, and Lyra replied with awe. She told him her people rarely bore marks, and so they treasured those who did. She said humans carried history on their skin, like living books. One night, as Alex finished another long message, he leaned back in his chair and whispered to himself, "Maybe this is what it means to be human, to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, and to still reach out anyway." He thought of the title of their story together, the strange, funny accident that had brought them closer than he ever expected. My alien roommate accidentally saw me naked. And she's absolutely delighted. And for the first time, Alex smiled at the memory without embarrassment. It wasn't just an accident anymore. It was proof. Proof that even across galaxies, even through mistakes, humans could connect. Proof that humanity was born to hope. Alex had thought about the accident for days. What once embarrassed him now gave him strength. He remembered how Lyra didn't laugh to mock him. She had laughed with joy. She had seen his humanity, raw and unguarded, and celebrated it. That memory had become a bridge. Even though she was gone, even though light years separated them, Alex felt closer to her. Still, the distance was heavy. Sometimes he caught himself, staring at the empty chair across the room, wishing she would walk in with her glowing smile asking questions about Earth. But she wasn't there, and that silence hurt. One night as Alex sat at his desk, his device blinked with a new message. His heart leapt. It was from Lyra. "Alex, do you ever wonder why humans feel shame? My people do not understand it. We do not hide who we are. But you do. Why?" Alex stared at the question, his mind spun. Shame. It was such a human thing. He began to type. "Lyra, maybe it's because we are afraid. Humans want to be accepted. When we feel different or weak, we hide. We don't want others to see us as less." He paused, then added, "But sometimes hiding makes us feel even more distant." He sent it, his chest tightening. Her reply came soon after. "That is strange to me, but also beautiful. Humans fear being less, yet you keep trying. You fall, you hide, you feel shame, but then you rise again. Do you know what that means, Alex? It means your hope is stronger than your fear." Alex read her words twice, his eyes stinging. Hope stronger than fear. Maybe that was the heart of being human. The next day, Alex went for a walk in the park. The leaves were turning red and gold, drifting down like sparks from a fire. He thought of Lyra, of how she would see these trees not as ordinary but as wonders. He pulled out his device, snapped a picture, and sent it with a message. "Lyra, this is autumn, the fire trees I told you about. You once asked why humans hide. Maybe this is why we should not. The world is full of beauty and it deserves to be shared." He hit send. Her reply made him laugh aloud. "Fire trees, I love them. Alex, when I see this picture, I feel your world in my heart. Perhaps distance is not so strong after all." That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about their messages. He realized something important. They weren't just exchanging stories. They were learning from each other. Lyra was helping him see his humanity in a new light, and he was helping her see Earth not just as a strange planet, but as a place filled with meaning. It was more than friendship. It was understanding. Still, doubts returned sometimes. One evening, after a long day, Alex sat at the window, the stars shining above. He whispered, "What if one day she forgets me? What if this connection fades?" The fear settled heavy in his chest, but then he remembered her words. Your hope is stronger than your fear. He smiled faintly. Maybe she was right. He picked up his device and began to write again. Lyra, today I felt afraid that distance will make us strangers. But then I remembered what you said, that hope is stronger than fear. Maybe being human means choosing hope even when fear feels louder. He sent it and waited. Hours later, the reply came. Alex, listen to me. Distance does not erase connection. You are part of my story now, and I am part of yours. That cannot be undone. My people say the universe is wide, but hearts that meet are always close. Alex read it slowly, smiling through the ache in his chest. She understood. She cared. The days that followed were filled with new honesty. He told her about his loneliness, about the weight of missing someone who had become important to him. She told him about her struggles too, that her people sometimes doubted her choice to live among humans, that she felt torn between two worlds. Through their words, they found comfort. One night, after a long exchange, Alex leaned back and whispered, "This is what makes us human. Not perfection, not strength, but the choice to keep reaching out even when it hurts." Weeks passed. The ache of distance never disappeared completely, but something else grew stronger. Understanding. Alex no longer saw himself as small or ordinary. Through Lyra's eyes, he began to see himself, and all of humanity, as something more. A people, who fall, who hide, who feel shame, but who rise again, choosing hope over fear. And maybe that was why humanity mattered in the universe. Not because they were flawless, but because they dared to connect. One evening, Alex closed his eyes, holding his device close. He whispered softly, as if Lyra could hear across the stars. "My alien roommate accidentally saw me naked, and she's absolutely delighted." The accident that once embarrassed him had become a symbol, a moment of vulnerability that opened the door to understanding. And in that memory, Alex found peace. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not small. Humanity was born to hope. Alex's days had fallen into a quiet rhythm. He went to classes, walked home, cooked dinner, and waited for the blinking light on his device. That small light had become the most important part of his life. It meant Lyra was there, even from across the stars. Her words brought comfort, but the distance still ached. Sometimes, when he laughed at her messages, the sound felt empty in the quiet room. He wished he could hear her laugh back. He missed her. And even though they had shared so much, there were things Alex still kept hidden. Parts of himself he was afraid to reveal. One evening, while reading over her last message, he paused. "Alex, you say humans rise again and again. But tell me, what makes you rise? What gives you hope?" The question lingered in his chest. He wanted to answer honestly, but honesty meant opening wounds he had buried. He stared at the screen for a long time. His fingers hovered over the keys, then pulled away. Could he tell her? Could he share what he had never told anyone else? That night, he lay awake thinking. Memories returned, moments of loneliness, moments of feeling invisible, times when he had failed, when he doubted himself, times when he believed he didn't matter. He had never told anyone, not his classmates, not his family, not even himself, not fully. But Lyra had asked, and something inside him whispered that maybe she was the one person who would understand. The next evening, he gathered his courage. He opened the device and began to type. "Lyra, you asked what gives me hope. I don't always feel strong. Many times I feel small. Sometimes I wonder if I matter at all. I try to rise, but it isn't always easy." He paused, his heart pounding. He took a deep breath and continued. "But when you were here, you saw me differently. You reminded me that humans shine even when we don't see it ourselves. I think my hope comes from that, from people like you who remind me that I matter, that humanity matters." His chest tightened as he read the words. Then, with trembling fingers, he pressed send. He waited all night, unable to sleep. Doubt gnawed at him. What if she thought he was weak? What if she didn't understand? When the device finally blinked with her reply, Alex's hands shook as he opened it. Alex, thank you for trusting me with your truth. You say you feel small, but to me you are vast. Do you know why I came to Earth? I never told anyone this. I wanted to see if humans were truly as strong as the story said. Many of my people believe humans are reckless, even fragile. But I wanted to know for myself. He blinked at the words, his heart racing. And I found you. I found a human who doubts, who hides, who fears, but who still reaches out. That is strength. That is why I was delighted by you. Alex, you are proof that the stories are true. Humans shine not because they never fall, but because they rise again and again. Alex sat back, stunned. She had kept her own secret all this time, too. She hadn't come to Earth just to study. She had come to believe. And she found that belief in him. That night, Alex felt something shift inside him. He wasn't just a student, not just an ordinary boy in a quiet apartment. He was part of something bigger. His story mattered, not only to himself, but to her. And in turn, her story mattered to him. From that day forward, their messages grew deeper. Lyra told him things she had never told anyone. Her fears that her people wouldn't accept her love for Earth, her struggles with being different, her longing to belong to two worlds at once. Alex shared his own secrets too, his fear of being forgotten, his childhood loneliness, his dreams of doing something meaningful in life. Every secret shared was like a stone lifted from their hearts. Every word built a bridge stronger than distance. One evening, Alex walked to the park again. The trees were almost bare now, their branches stretched like arms into the cold air. He sat on a bench, his breath misting in the chill, and sent her a message. Lyra, I think this is what makes humans strong. We share our secrets. We carry pain, but we don't carry it alone. When we open our hearts, we find hope. Her reply came quickly. Yes, Alex. That is why your people are special. You do not hide forever. You risk shame, you risk fear, but you choose connection. That is why I believe humanity is not small. Humanity is great. Alex leaned back on the bench, looking up at the night sky. The stars shone cold and distant, but he no longer felt alone. Somewhere, light years away, she was looking at her own sky. And somehow, through the secrets they had shared, they were closer than ever. When he returned home, Alex sat at his desk and whispered, almost laughing at himself, "My alien roommate accidentally saw me naked, and she's absolutely delighted." The accident that once embarrassed him had become the beginning of everything, the start of trust, the start of shared secrets. And now he understood something clearly. Humanity's strength wasn't in being fearless. It was in being honest, in daring to share pain, and in finding hope in the act of sharing. Humanity was never meant to stay silent. Humanity was born to speak, to connect, to shine. The days grew colder. Frost touched the edges of the windows in the mornings, and Alex wrapped himself in sweaters before heading to class. But even in the chill, he felt a kind of warmth inside. Ever since he and Lyra had shared their secrets, the distance between them felt different. It was still there, of course, light years of empty space, but the silence was no longer heavy. He knew she carried a part of him with her, and he carried her with him too. Still, the ache of missing her never left. Some nights he sat in his room staring at the glowing device, wondering what it would be like if she were still here, sitting across the table, teasing him about human food or asking endless questions about Earth. He missed the sound of her laugh echoing in the small apartment. He missed her curiosity. He even missed the way she tilted her head in confusion when she didn't understand a human phrase. Messages were good, but they were not the same as being together. One evening, as Alex typed a reply, he stopped halfway, threw and sighed. "Lyra," he finally wrote, "sometimes I don't know what to say. I miss you so much that words feel small." He stared at the sentence for a long time before sending it. The reply came later that night. "Alex, I feel the same. Sometimes I wonder if my words reach you with the same warmth as when I was there. But even if words feel small, they carry our hearts. And hearts, no matter the distance, find each other. Her message stayed with him. He thought about it the next day in class while riding the bus and while cooking dinner. Words carry hearts, he whispered to himself. It sounded like something humans had always believed, but hearing it from her made it powerful. It reminded him that even though she was far away, their bond was not broken. A week later, Alex came home from school to find a small package at his dacre. His heart leapt when he saw the strange symbols on the label, Lyra's language. He carried the package inside carefully, almost trembling. Inside was a small glass sphere that shimmered with shifting colors. A note was attached. Alex, this is a memory crystal. When you hold it, it will play the sound of my voice as if I am there. I hope it makes the distance smaller. Hands shaking, Alex held the crystal. Suddenly her voice filled the room. Clear, bright, and real. Hello, Alex. I don't know if this will work perfectly, but I wanted you to hear me again. I wanted to remind you that you are not alone. Alex sat down hard on the chair, overwhelmed. Tears stung his eyes. For the first time since she left, it felt like she was truly in the room again. He whispered to the crystal, even though he knew she couldn't hear it live. Lyra, thank you. From then on, Alex kept the crystal close. He played her recorded words when he studied, when he cooked, when he sat in silence. It didn't replace her, but it reminded him of what they had. In return, Alex decided to create something for her, too. He spent hours recording little videos of Earth, sunsets from the park, the crowded city streets, even the small plants on his windowsill. He sent them all, hoping she would feel closer to him. Her reply was filled with delight. Alex, your world is alive in these pictures. I can almost smell the air. Thank you for letting me see through your eyes. Their bond grew stronger with every shared gift. But one night, as Alex listened to the crystal again, he whispered, "What if distance lasts forever? What if she never comes back?" The thought scared him. Yet another thought followed. What if that didn't matter? What if being human meant choosing hope even when the future was uncertain? He sent her a message late at night. Lyra, even if we can't see each other again soon, I will keep believing. That's what humans do. We hope, even when it hurts. We fight for connection, even when the distance is impossible. Her answer came the next day. Alex, this is why I believe in your people. You hope not because it is easy, but because it is human. And Alex, I will find a way. One day, I will return. I promise. Reading her words, Alex felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Certainty. Not that things would be easy, but that hope itself was enough to carry him forward. He didn't know when she would return. He didn't know how. But he knew that their connection was stronger than space, stronger than silence. One evening, as the winter wind howled outside, Alex held the memory crystal close and whispered, "My alien roommate accidentally saw me naked, and she's absolutely delighted." It felt almost silly to say it out loud, but it reminded him of where it all began. A moment of embarrassment that became a bridge between worlds. He smiled softly. That memory was no longer just awkward. It was precious, because it led to everything that followed: friendship, trust, secrets, and hope. And as he listened to Lyra's voice fill the room once more, Alex understood something deeply. Humanity's greatest strength was not in power or knowledge. It was in holding on to hope, holding on to connection, holding on to the people who mattered, no matter how far away they were.